Hello and welcome to Module 5 of the Using Information Technology course. I'm Dr. Crystal Young, your course guide, and during this module, we'll be exploring web browsing and mobile computing. Some questions to think about in this module include, how can I use the internet effectively and efficiently? How can I find reliable scholarly resources? And how can mobile devices help me succeed academically? Web browsing applications are designed with tools that allow efficient surfing. You have the back and forward buttons. You have history button. You have favorites, tabbed browsing, and other tools. These are common to most browsers. The locations, though, and the names may vary. We'll be using Google Chrome for this lecture, and you will be doing some things on Google. So if you don't have it installed, I would go ahead and install it and go ahead and open your Google Chrome browser and maximize the screen for the activities that we'll do during this module. Let's look at the top first. Let's look at some of the Google controls that we have. Up here in the left, we have the back arrow. If you click it with the left mouse button, you can see a history or a list of places that you visited. The right is the forward button, and you can click and hold that also to see a list of places that you have gone to and come back from. This is the refresh button, which will reload the page that you are on. We'll be using this Google browser and this Google engine for the lecture this week. You can have bookmarks, which are easily created when you click on the star. So you click on the star, it'll ask you, do you want to save this to your bookmark bar or wherever you'd like to save it, what you want to name it, and then you can access it by going over here to the three dots and going down to the fifth option. On the sixth option, I apologize, on mine is bookmarks. You can customize this any way you'd like to by clicking on settings and setting this up however you'd like to. You can even set a home page by clicking on settings and then going to appearance, and you would turn on the show home button. Mine's disabled. You can click on enter custom web page, and if you wanted to go to, say, the ETSU website when you go home, you can set that, and every time you hit the home button that looks like a home, it will take you back to whatever website you put here. You also have some privacy and security settings that are found by clicking settings and then privacy and security. That will allow you to establish how you're going to navigate online in a safe way. Now, a lot of times you can save your password. And while it's convenient to save your password, if your device is ever stolen or lost, you put yourself at risk of someone having access to all of your information and being able to log in and change your information quickly. So be very careful. Never save or say remember me on a public device. You also have help and tips. There's help to give you information about Google Chrome, also updates. There's a help center, and you can report an issue by clicking on the menu or hitting Alt, Shift, and the letter I. There are several security and privacy features embedded in Chrome. They are to help you make sure your environment that you're working in is safe. You can look at how your computer uses the cookies and how it gets and gives information. So cookies are basically, if you think of Hansel and Gretel or leaving breadcrumbs, it's kind of like a trail of all the places that you've gone. If you don't clear your cache and they're browsing cookies, then that trail stays there. Sometimes it's beneficial because when you revisit a website, it allows you to seamlessly and efficiently access that website. However, because previous information has been stored on some websites, when they don't function well, this can be a problem with the leftover cookies. You can think of them as they've spoiled, and they lead the computer to somewhere that the computer no longer understands. Whenever you access a website, we have to be very careful and concerned because if there are certain privacy settings that are not in place, you give general information about yourself and potentially your location, age, and other personal information to that website to use. Now, one of the things that pops up a lot is the pop-up blocker. It's up in the top and it has a red X over it. It prevents unwanted pop-ups on your screen. Now, I might be telling how old I am, but when the internet was just being used a lot in homes, when you would click on a website, you would automatically get several pop-ups that would a lot of times show up on top of what you were trying to see. So now most browsers have a pop-up blocker that when it's turned on does not allow any of that. The time that comes into play is when you access a site that utilizes a pop-up window. You must deactivate the pop-up blocker either for that particular site or for all sites in order to access your pop-up window that you intended to access. If you do disable the pop-up blocker, consider reactivating it because just like I said, before pop-ups used to come up and they just pop up all over the screen. It is very inconvenient and you might want to consider the fact that a lot of those are spam and ads that you may not want. On the next video, I'll demonstrate real briefly how to delete your browsing history and then incognito browsing. There are 6 things that I would like to point out to you that are available when you're using browsers. You have an address bar that basically shows you where you are. You can also open it up and see where you've been, similar to a navigation system that would be in your car or on your phone. You have back and forwards navigation. You have a refresh button, which allows you to reload the page that you're currently on. You have a stop button, which would stop whatever is going on. If it's reloading a page or loading a page, it would stop that action. You have a home button, which allows you to go to a predetermined home page. And then you have print options. You can change the setting, you can preview, and you can do a lot of other things with the print screen right in your browser. So let's look at some of the things that are on Google, some other things. The address bar is up here at the top. That is where we usually type the address of the website. You can also search for things here, but if you know the address for the website, you don't have to type it down here in the search bar, which is what this area was originally designed for. You can simply come up here and type etsu.edu, and it will take you to that website. And that is called the address bar. Again, this is the backward button. This is the forward button. This will reload the page. It's called the refresh button. If a page is loading, as with this example, hitting the X, which is the stop, will stop the page from loading. Home button, I don't have it on as I showed you in the other video, but if you go over here to settings and change the appearance, you can turn on a home button and set the page that you want it to go to. Now, if you would like to print from your browser, you can open up this menu and click print, and it will bring up a preview of the site. You can change how it's printed. You can print it on a device, save it as a PDF, or do select others. You can change the number of pages that are being printed, the layout. You can even go to more settings and change the size, the margins. And if you're printing to a device that has duplication, you can set it to print on both sides of the page. Quick tabs is something that I'm going to show you in the next quick video. But Quick Tabs is a Google Chrome extension or an add-in. You actually have to select it and add it to your browser. It allows you to have access to multiple tabs seamlessly, and it's very efficient if you like to have a lot of tabs. So it's something that I probably need, because if you've ever looked at most people's screens, they have multiple pages, multiple tabs, and they're kind of all over the place. So Quick Tabs allows you to organize that in an efficient manner. Quick Tab is an extension that you can add to Google Chrome that allows you to quickly access your open tabs. It installs a little blue arrow in your browser, and I'm actually going to add it right now to mine. All I do is click, add extension, and Quick Tab has been added. So if I have multiple tabs open, I can click on that bar and it will allow me to quickly zoom from one tab to another. HTML. So most websites are written with HTML code. We'll explore what this is so that you can see how it sets up, very generally, how it sets up a web page for you to actually view. Websites are usually written and coded with HTML. Some websites can be created with block coding, but if you want to see the code behind the page, right click. You'll right click and click on view page source, and you can see the code that was used to create that page. And this is HTML code. It is written on line by line, separated into sections. You have tags and a lot of other things that I will not get into, but you have to open, close tags. And that's how you write and create code for a website. So we're going to do some activities on the next screens, and that is why I needed you to have Google Chrome open. I would like for you to navigate to a website. You can use Creative Commons, and you can get web pictures and images there free to use for this activity, or another site. And I would like for you to navigate to that web page, select an image. Yes, select any image. Right click on that image and select Save Picture As. Now you can save that picture to a flash drive, jump drive, OneDrive, or to the computer. And then open that picture. So double click on wherever you saved it to, whatever the location is. You can pause this video if at any time you need to rewind and do the steps again. Highlight the image and then right click again and click copy. Next, you want to open a Word document and paste it into that Word document. This is only for you to have a chance to try it out. This is not an assignment that you have to turn in. Internet sources and online resources. So the internet is also referred to as the WWW, or the World Wide Web. I've heard it also referred to as the information superhighway. The internet connects people from all over the world and gives quick access to information. Internet browsers such as Google Chrome, Microsoft Edge allow you to access, or they're the doorway to the internet. The URL is the address of the website that you're viewing, or the document that you're viewing. So let's talk about search engines. Other than the three that are on the screen, can you think of any others? Good. All right. So today we're mainly going to focus on Google. But as you see on the screen, there's Bing and there's Yahoo, and I'm sure you came up with some others. But then there are different types of search engines, not just brands. The first one I'd like to share with you is called a directory search engine. It is an online index of websites. So it simply scours different websites. The second one is an index search engine. It has information that is categorized and stored for quick retrieval. The next type is a meta search engine. And the meta search engine uses data from other search engines to return results for your searches. Talk about efficiency. So it allows other search engines results to inform what it shares with you. So I'd probably say that Google is a type of meta search engine. That's not all that it does, but it does perform the action of a meta search engine. Meta search engines can also, though, be very specialized for a topic specific search. So you could possibly access that search engine specifically for topics. It doesn't explore anything else. It only gives you back information for a specific topic. The third one is specific database search engine. It's a specific search engine that has a database attached to it for the retrieval of specific information. For example, ETSU Sharrett's library is a specific database search engine. It accesses the resources that are housed in the Sharrett library and lets you know what is available. So some important information to remember is the main problem with search engines is not that they return too little, but often there's so much information that is found, it's hard to uncover the most important information. Now, when you get results on a search engine, the first results usually are the closest relation to what you searched for, but that's not always the case. And it's not always the case that the first source is the most reliable. Sometimes you have to dig down and essentially, as the colloquialism says, uncover the needle in a haystack. So now let's explore Google as a calculator. You can use Google as a calculator by simply going to Google and typing in calculator, or typing in Google calculator in the URL, and it will automatically search and pull up the calculator. Arithmetic operators such as the plus sign, the minus sign, so the plus sign, the minus sign, the star as the multiplication symbol, and the slash as the division symbol, and the upward arrow as the power or for exponents. That is how we use and talk to the computer so it can perform calculations for us. So the first exercise that I'd like for you to do is to add and type in 10 plus 2 times or star 5. So type it in, see what you get. The answer should be 20. So now let's modify it and add 2 to the 10. So we want to change it to parentheses 10 plus 2 close parentheses star 5. You should have gotten the answer 60. Now for the last exercise with the calculator, we're just exploring. I would like for you to find out how many inches are in a meter according to Google. All you have to do is type in how many inches are in a meter, and Google will give you the answer. You should have received 39.3700787 as your answer. So that's Google Calculator. Google as a dictionary will help you to define words. On the slide, you can see that we use the word or phrase define and the colon. So if you want Google to define a word, you don't have to type Google Dictionary. Just go to regular Google, and I want you to do that right now. And type in define colon. The first word is refuglant. And I probably just butchered that word, but that's okay. R-E-F-U-L-G-E-N-T. R-E-F-U-L-G-E-N-T. And see what it means. The next word I'd like for you to explore, so you'll clear that query out and put define colon S-Y-Z-Y-G-Y and see what you get. So nonsense words will return back a result, and as well as words that are real. The next thing we're going to explore is Google as a meteorologist. So type in Google weather, and notice you don't have to have any special characters. It's just weather in the city. So type in weather in any city that you'd like to explore to see what the weather is going to be like. This will work for any city around the world. So when we're searching, remember before I said that you get a lot of search results back, and then you have to kind of sift through those results to find or narrow down your choices. So one thing that we can use to help with that process are quotation marks. Quotation marks force Google to look for words in a specific order. So for example, an exact phrase. In this case, we would simply put quotation marks around your search term. So if you typed in quotation mark, free men of the world are marching together, you will be presented with sites that contain General Eisenhower's D-Day speech. When does this come in handy? Well, one of the ways that I personally used it was during my doctoral process. I knew that as I was reading through articles, I had a lot of different resources. I encountered a lot of different articles. Some of them I kept because right away I knew I wanted to incorporate them into my work. Others I didn't know I needed until later. And so I would remember a phrase or a sentence from them. And so I would go to Google, put them in quotation marks, and the majority of the time it returned the article that I was looking for because I had specifically narrowed down the information to something that was in that particular article. Does it work 100% of the time? No, but it is a great way to find specific information, and it works fairly well. So what are all the things that Google has to offer? Well, I don't have an exhaustive list because they always come up with different things, but here's some others. They have Google Scholar, Google Maps, Google Street View, Google Earth, Google Trends, Google Books, Google Images, and Google Drive. They're all free and included. Some have a few upgrades, like with Google Earth. Sometimes you have to upgrade it, but in general, or have a special account, I should say. But in general, all of these are free and they're open source tools that you can use. So, searching with Google. Searching a specific site using Google, you can do things to limit where you're looking. You can use Google to search only within one specific website by entering the search terms you're looking for, followed by a space and the word site and a colon and then the site's name. So if I were looking for, say, pyramid on my sorority's website, I might type pyramid space site SITE colon www.deltasigmatheta.org. Everywhere it mentions pyramid on the site is going to return results for me. If you want to find computer labs at the ETSU site, you would type in, and you want to be very specific, quotation marks, computer labs space site colon www.etsu.edu. Some search engines and dictionaries are partially case sensitive. So if you spell a word or phrase with a lowercase letter in the search form, the engine will match both upper and lowercase letters to the web page. Searches for Apple Computer will give you pages with Apple Computer in lowercase, capital APPLE, lowercase, so sentence case where only the first letter is capitalized, and even sites that have all capital letters. It is normally not the other way around. So if you search for, say, Bill Gates in quotation marks, you won't see lowercase Bill, lowercase Gates. The Shared Libraries website, again, it's like a database search engine. You can enter the keywords and the database will return results of physical books, where they are, whether they are available, and whether you can check them out or not. It will even include ebooks, but not journal articles. You can search InfoTrack, OneFile. It's an electronic magazine library, and use it to find full text articles. Lexis and Nexis searches every English language newspaper on the planet. There are several different searches that you can find on the Shared Library website, and it would be a good thing if you would explore what all is available to you. So how do you know that the information that you find is actually reliable? How do you know that it's actually something you can depend on? Well, you can do a little research and a little background check to make sure that it is scholarly. There are some ways that I highly recommend, but since we're talking about search engines, one of my favorite to use is Google Scholar. Google Scholar will return more academically reliable results than other search engines. Look at the author of the work that you're reading. Are they actually reputable? How do you know that? What are their qualifications? Are they actually qualified to talk authoritatively about the subject of their work? Is it an op-ed, or is it a journal article that's been published in a peer-reviewed article? Consider the reputation of the organization. that publish the information. Harvard has a publishing house. Is it published there? Most universities have, or a lot of universities have, a publishing house. Is it published to them? A lot of academies, a lot of organizations have publishing companies. TESOL, which is Teachers of English as a Second or Other Language, has a publishing house. And they are a reputable company because they have an editorial staff and they produce work that has been edited and that has been peer reviewed. If an article, though, is self-published and it seems like they're the only ones that have reviewed their work, then 9 times out of 10, that is not someone who is an authority to speak on that subject. Where did the author get their information? What are their sources? Are their sources reputable? Go to the source. So when you find an article on Google Scholar, it has a link usually to the actual article or a website. Is it published on ResearchGate? Is it published on other databases where you can access it? Find the author's information and really dig into whether they are an authority and have the credentials to speak. Most people who have an earned PhD or an earned EDD or an earned terminal degree in any subject have gone through a rigorous process that allows them to be in the position to be an authority on topics that they specialize in. So seeing an earned degree from a university usually signifies that that source is reputable. So now we're going to talk about types of mobile devices. And this is just going to be a brief review. We've talked a little bit about this, but we're going to go through them. So laptops are portable. They run a regular desktop operating system. So we're talking about Windows, Mac OS, Linux, Chrome OS. The exception to this, though, is that it's currently installed on mobile devices only. Desktop operating systems offer an open software ecosystem. They have a built-in keyboard and a mouse, and they typically have a larger but lower resolution screen than tablets. Typically, they have a more powerful CPU and more memory than tablets. This is changing. They may or may not have a touch screen. They may or may not have cellular connectivity. A lot are coming with Bluetooth equipment built in where you can connect wireless devices to the laptops. And a lot of them are able to be converted into a tablet. Tablet computers are smaller versions of a laptop, but larger versions of phones. The vast majority are iOS or Android. We're talking about like iPads, the Samsung Galaxy tablets. Mobile operating systems offer a closed software ecosystem. There are workarounds, though, such as jailbreaking, but doing this introduces security risk. It may come with a detachable keyboard to make it easier to use. You may be able to use a mouse or a trackpad with external hardware. Touchscreen is the primary way that you input information or that the device receives data. The screen typically ranges from 7 to 12 inches, and it may even have cellular connection. Smartphones are very similar to tablets in that they use the operating system. Um, well, they're similar in the operating systems, the hardware and the software ecosystem. It's closed. The hardware is basically the same, and the operating systems are usually iOS or Android. Phones come with cellular connectivity, and so that is how you use them. You can use them over Wi-Fi though also, but the main attraction to smartphones is the cellular connections. But cellular phones have been used to do everything from producing a paper to responding to discussion posts to communicating a message to someone. And so this is how you can use a smartphone to just as you would a laptop, a desktop, and a tablet. The majority of computing devices currently on the internet run a mobile operating system. So Android has about 40% of the market share. iOS surprisingly has about 16%, and Chrome OS has about 1%. And a lot of people might say that doesn't make sense, but you have to think about the overarching affordability and accessibility to the devices, and that's where you get the different percentages. At 56%, there are more devices actually running Android and iOS than Windows and OS X combined. Windows is about 32%, and the Mac operating system is about 7%. Portability means greater opportunity for mobile theft. With that in mind, making sure mobile devices are secure and private is extremely important. Many mobile devices have large amounts of data, and that data is very personal. That includes contacts, banking information, passwords, email accounts, photographs, videos, text messages. Even locked devices can expose data if stolen. Protect yourself by encrypting your data. Install a remote device management software. Avoid checking the Remember Me on sensitive websites. Enter that information every single time. Not keeping sensitive or even embarrassing documents or photos on a device that you carry with you will protect your privacy. Many devices and applications share your location by default. When you install a new app in the TOS or Terms of Service, many have a clause that allows for the sharing of your location with the app company. Your location can be closely approximated even with GPS disabled. You can be located by the proximity to cell towers, to hotspots, and even if your location services are disabled, your cell provider knows approximately where you are. You can help protect your location privacy by turning off GPS when it is not needed. Giving applications permission to only access location data when it's necessary also protects you. Navigation is going to require that your location is on. But an app like, say, Houses does not need your location. It's an interior decorating app. Do not allow apps to share your location unless it is really what you want. Even when you're ordering a pizza for delivery, be careful about sharing your location. That's one more access point to your private information. Malware. And we talked about this last week. and how it can impact your computers. But malware can even get through and impact your phones. Even when an app has been curated and vetted by app stores, malware can still be in there and impact the quality and productivity of your device. Bad links and attachments may still pose a risk. Mobile device malware may allow attackers access to your device's location, microphone, or camera. Protect yourself by installing malware protection. Exercise the same caution you would on any other computer when clicking on a link or opening attachments. And this includes attachments and links that you receive via email and via text message. Update your device as soon as the device updates become available. Don't wait. Don't keep pushing. Remind me later. Most security patches are trying to prevent attacks by malware. Pay attention to your permissions. Permissions define which of your device's services applications may use. Android allows you to enable permissions when you install applications. You can disable them later in the application settings. One of the applications that I often see pop up on my phone, because I have a few malware applications on my phone, is the reminder to turn off sharing of my location. It will ask me, do you want to share your location with this app? And it will share a list of apps that are requesting access to my location. Do not give an application a permission you do not understand. If you don't get it, don't get it. Don't allow it to use that. Information about permissions is readily available online. Look it up, read through it. If you don't understand it, deny it. Do not allow it to use it. Anything that looks suspicious or unnecessary, deny it. Apple's App Store requires developers to state what information they collect in the app description. You can disable app privileges in settings. Do not install apps that collect data that you are not comfortable sharing. If you are limited on a data plan, make sure that you limit background network access to apps that really need it. Some apps run constantly in the background. Facebook is one of them. If you're limited on data, turn it off in the background and it won't run and take up your data. Looking ahead to our next unit, we will be talking about computational thinking and problem solving. Your assignment is to read in the computational thinking book, chapters 1 through 3. Thank you very much, and I hope you have an awesome week.